So what we do is we use the idea of chakras as a way to think about the human energy body. If we are going to think about our lives as an opportunity to live and experience the most that we can in the period of time that we have available, and we are thinking of ourselves not just as mental beings or not just as physical beings, or not spending all of our time simply concerned with what our emotions are doing every single day, or always focused upon spiritual development, we have an opportunity to think of ourselves as people who are all these components and to look at the possible integration of our natures. But you kind of do need to start with the basics. We are in physical life here, and regardless of what our spiritual approach, no matter how conservative, mainstream, or eccentric, or enlightened our spiritual approach may be, we can all agree that whether it's real or whether it's an illusion, we seem to be walking around in physical bodies. And in order for us to have a reasonable experience on life, we have to eat properly, sleep enough, and give ourselves the basics of shelter and clothing and a certain amount of pleasure in our lives so that we have a reason to get up in the morning and can enjoy ourselves. What I notice and what prompted my coming to speak about chakra balancing today is that many people, most people in our culture, are either compensating or overcompensating for some form of perceived lack. They believe they are not whole in some way, and they are attempting to make themselves whole by following a system of deliberately engaging the chakras as they understand them and attempting to open certain ones or to shut certain ones down. Now, who knows about the chakras out there? So I have some sense of, okay, most of you do. Now, there are many different theories about chakras. There are quite a few accepted books out there that are selling many copies that talk about anywhere from 5 chakras to 21 chakras. There are people who believe in 15 chakras above the heart and 15 chakras below the heart. We can't talk about all chakra theories today because we don't have time. What we're going to talk about instead is the main 7 chakras that you find on most charts that are experienced by most people in their daily life, either through their overabundance or their absence. And those would be, from the bottom of the body, the base chakra. Let me step aside from the podium here with the little thingamajig. The base chakra is believed by many people to be an area just between the joining of the thighs, and it represents just a little below. If I were wearing pants, it would be down just below the joining of the thighs, and it represents issues related to security, the village that you belong to, or the tribe, if you will put it that way, your family, the people that you are most strongly identified with. That would be issues related to your physical safety, how much food you get or need, what you are able to accomplish with money in some ways, your feelings of safety, your relationship with the physical world, with the sun, moon, rain, stars, and to an extent other people because it relates to your tribe and to safety issues. Then the second chakra, as we move up the energy body, is typically perceived to be just above the pelvic bone, just below the navel, and that is often called either the second chakra or the sacral chakra, and it represents to most human beings the reproductive force, sexuality as you experience it, and the way in which you experience your creative power, whatever that would be. If you are a person who likes to cook, you may find that you just come alive when you're in the kitchen, and very likely your second chakra is involved in that. Or anytime you feel a strong movement, those of you who are artists and sort of get transported in a very fundamental way, are experiencing your second chakra coming alive. Typically in our culture, because we are of the West and have been conditioned by traditional conservative religious beliefs for many centuries now, 2,000 years at least, there has been belief system related to the second chakra or sacral chakra that we need to resist the urges of sexuality, and we need to control and downplay what we may feel coming out of the first and second chakras. In the history of our country and the Western hemispheres in general, it has been the tradition of the church, many different systems, to talk to us as though our base chakra, which is often attributed to the violence of human beings against each other, and our sacral chakra, which have to do with sexuality for the lives of most people, and in some cases, creativity is viewed as a threat to society and structure too, especially if it is experienced by women. So we have in the West an innate and ingrained tendency to downplay the first and second chakras in our lives. Now, as we move up the chakra system, we come to what is often known as the solar plexus. This is variously believed to be either just behind the navel, inside the trunk of the body, or just a little bit above the navel, within the trunk of the body. Now, we want to understand as we're talking about this today that the chakras as a whole can easily be mistaken to be on the front of the body and to all be pointing forward. When we first get to thinking about chakras, that's a very common thing to imagine that they're on the front of the body and they're pointing forward. But we are three-dimensional beings, of course, so our chakras are inside of us. They are right in front of our spine. They are energy centers which contain and control certain kinds of force that we have available to us to use in our daily lives. Our solar plexus, named so because plexus means the convergence of various kinds of sensitivity. Solar because it's in the solar center and is often believed to have something to do with the way we process sunlight, is often associated in our culture with feelings that other people are having and how we feel. You could liken the solar plexus experience to what a golden retriever does when you walk into their room. The sense that an animal has, particularly dogs because they are so quickly relating to us, their feeling sense that connects them to everything that goes on in the world. People who relate predominantly from their solar plexus chakra are people who often get hunches. They get a gut feeling. They have a sense of how things are going to go. This is because, in the theory of chakras, your sensing and connectedness from the umbilical region where you were originally connected with your mother connects you to the entire web of consciousness of people that are everywhere on the planet. The theory is, as espoused by Carl Jung, one of the great psychologists, that we are all connected telepathically, empathically, and through our conscious and unconscious minds. And many people receive their connection with all the other people of mankind through this center. Now, this can have various attributes and drawbacks. Many of you in this room are empathic, and you're in the helping sciences, and you find yourselves taking on other people's distress, particularly if you are loving, kind, and considerate and have a tendency to pay attention to what other people are feeling. You may have noticed over the years that you often feel drained or tired at the end of a visit with a certain person, or at the end of a day, if you're in a busy service profession, you may just feel more or less wiped out. And it may not even be you that you're feeling. You could be experiencing a lot of other people through your solar plexus and in the way that a sponge will. Furthermore, people have a tendency to want to remove each other's pain. They want to help. Let me help you with that. Let me take that from you. And the most common avenue of ingress into our system is the solar plexus, but it has also many virtues, and we'll get to that. Now, moving up the body, the heart chakra is the one everybody's most interested in. Most people who come to an event like this are most interested in the heart chakra. If you think about the heart as being deep in the trunk of the body, equidistant from the back of the body to the front of the body, and imagine that it is not just a heart muscle, but that it is a strong force, a field of energy, which you relate always to your feelings of friendliness, affection, or conversely to your fears of friendliness and affection. This would be the center in your body that controls or regulates that flow. Then up a little higher, we have our throat chakra. I almost went to one of the sub ones that I work with all the time. But the next main chakra recognized by most people in society is the throat chakra. Chakra, by the way, is an Americanized spelling, C-H-A-K-R-A. And it is spelled in that way in our world because it is from Sanskrit, in which the letter C is often pronounced with a sh sound, as I understand it. And I may be wrong. So we're working with the throat chakra. We have anything related to how we communicate with other people. Now, some folks are mostly listeners. They listen beautifully and they don't talk much. And then, because we are often taught through society and religious practice that we shouldn't say anything if we haven't got something nice to say, there are many times when we are not able to say anything. Okay? So we can find ourselves with overactive or underactive throat chakra, if you want to view it in that way. I would definitely be one of the overactive throat chakra people. Now, what would be the attribute of the throat chakra? Well, obviously, you can work more effectively interpersonally with people if you communicate effectively. But there are also times for silence. And people who are masters of energy often use words very carefully and do not use excess or superfluous words. So the use of energy through the throat can involve communication or the judicious lack of use of communication for various purposes. Now, moving up into the body, we're at the third eye chakra. This is the one that most people are familiar with of what we consider the spiritual chakras, which is really the topic I'll be discussing today. People are interested in this little spot, which is supposed to be within the forehead, but actually perceived as being slightly before the forehead, as the clairvoyant center, or the place of vision. If you close your eyes and imagine a strawberry, you will see it in your third eye. It's like a little movie screen. And it tends to be where you have your dreams, or your daydreams, or when you picture your checkbook in your head, or you see your bank balance. You may see it on the mind's eye, and that would be your third eye, often associated with precognition, with awareness of things that are going on in other times and places. It is a fun chakra, as many others are. And it can have disadvantages for people who are unusually sensitive and see things they really don't want to see. And then lastly, the crown chakra, which is perceived by different systems to be anywhere from just slightly inside the top of the head to slightly above the head, representing our connection with the divine. Now, there are many theories on that, and I've subscribed to one in particular, which I'll talk about in just a little while, but the basic idea is that the crown chakra is the place where our physical energy system, not necessarily our spiritual being per se, but our physical auric or energy system, has ingress or egress to the divine, if you want to think about it that way. If we think of ourselves as a giant auric egg, a giant luminous energy field, which could be charted if science was interested and wanted to look at it and take pictures of it. The crown chakra would be like the little snap, where you could snap yourself to the fabric of the universe if that's what you wanted to do, so that you could be in contact in yet another way, at a higher way, with the superconscious of all things, in the same way that our solar plexus will connect us to the regular consciousness of all things. So when we think about the 7 chakras of the body, we are really talking about the internal energetic organs of the body. Now, people who work with the chakras deliberately can do this through, in yoga, the practice of pranayama, the control and maintenance of certain breathing patterns for strength within the system. Or people can work with the breath very deliberately to bring power into certain chakras so that they can balance their natures. Or people can make an attempt to open a chakra that they perceive to be underactive, or to quieten down a chakra that they perceive to be overactive. Now, this would be particularly useful if you were upset about something and you had gotten into the habit of calming your heart by breathing into your heart center while picturing something through your third eye that was very soothing. Breathing in, say, through the top of your head and letting the breath come into the heart chakra while picturing a rose slowly opening. That sounds complicated, but it's really not. In our technological society, with all the movies that we watch and all the fantasizing that we do, this is something that a person can learn how to do pretty quickly. What I'd like to do is have us all, almost all of you know how to do this, but let's do it anyway because it brings us together. Imagine that when we breathe, that we have the capacity of breathing in through the top of the head. So imagine that when you're breathing in, you just breathe a big breath about the width of the top of your head straight into your body and send it all the way out and exhale it through your seat into the floor. Close your eyes for a second and imagine that you're breathing in, not too rough, not too strong, and gently allow the flow to go out through your spine into the floor. This is a very gentle chakra breath that takes energy from the upper part of the being straight through all the chakras into the lower part of the being. And in and of itself, it is a very powerful thing to do. Now we have just a few minutes more to talk about chakra balancing itself, having introduced the idea of chakras to you in the ways that most of you are familiar with anyway. Let's talk a little bit about what we do with our chakras. People in a setting like this are overwhelmingly concerned with spiritual development, health, and well-being. The words that we hear so much, the name of this expo, the Wellness Expo, we are thinking about being whole, integrated, true, emerging as our true selves. And so we are thinking about what we think the highest aspects of that would be, or the highest attributes of our lives as energy beings. Most of us are concentrating on the heart chakra, the throat chakra, the third eye, and the crown chakra. And we may spend so much time working on that we pay absolutely no attention to our base, our sacral, and our solar plexus. As I was mentioning earlier in our talk, much of what goes on in our culture is sort of what you might call type A or overproduction attitude, where people are trying very hard to accomplish, which must be praised, what they would like to get done. If they are looking for peace and freedom, then they take actions which lead to peace and freedom. If they're looking for their right livelihood, or they are looking for the way in which they may serve the most completely in this lifetime, then they are trying to make the most of every day. Wise use of time. You may find, however, that you spend so much time working on your upper chakras that you could begin to look like a broccoli. A big broccoli with a strong but rather neglected stalk. Now, in fact, you may find you lean forward when you're walking, or you may find that you're a little tired and you lean forward. You may not really understand why that is, because inside of yourself you feel young and deeply motivated and full of the beauty of life. What we are beginning to learn, however, is that in our culture, how many of you are praying for a more abundant life or meditate towards a more abundant life? You're thinking about, how can I earn more money? How can I earn a money that I like to earn? How can I have more money instead of spending it all? How can I not constantly spend money in a way to make my heart feel more full? What can I do with my energy? Money, energy, money. And most of you have figured that out, that one is an external reflection of the other. A new teaching has come, has been around forever, but it's new to us at this time in this place, is that we spend a little too much time attempting to cleanse ourselves. How many of you have spent most of your time in the last 10 years trying to get rid of old baggage, clean up messes, go to therapy, talk to your social worker, eat right, stay fit, be nicer to everybody, get rid of the baggage, clean out the closets, all this cleansing and purifying stuff? Well, may I submit to you that you're just not that dirty. You're just not that dirty. You're pretty cool the way you are. Very possibly you're already in a state of divine wholeness, and all you need to do is use your equipment and use it fully and sensibly. When you are always thinking of yourself as somebody who has to get the dirt out, the stuff out, the trouble out, the problem out, solve the problem, problem, you cannot create. Now, there is a time for taking the trash out, and there is a time for rearranging the flowers. And if you want to have a good life, my personal experience is at some point you've got to stop staring at the problem and start working with the under-exercised chakras. So this would be my message for you today, just as an experiment, so that you have statistical fairness. Give yourself a chance over the next month, or even just the next week, to identify experiences which will please your base chakra. What would that be? Anything that takes place from the hip bone down. A foot massage, a leg massage, new socks, shoes that fit, walking in the grass, painting your toenails, putting your feet up, sitting in the tub. From the waist down you'd be covered with water. Doing something with people you feel safe around. Hanging around with your favorite tribe. If that's your grandkids, then get with your grandkids. If that's your dogs or your cats or your birds or your reptiles, then get with them. Be around the group that is your companionistic safety center. Do something that puts a new memory in your base chakra. Why do we absorb experiences from the past? Because we keep zanging those experiences from the past. If we're going to clean out the first chakra, that means like a little honeycomb, we have things to stuff into it now. So let's give our first chakra some decent experiences. Second chakra, if you are a person who can work sexually within your own belief system, do so. Third chakra, if you are a person who feels other people's pain, focus for a week or a month on feeling other people's joy. You can determine what you feel. You can set yourself to feel other people's joy. If you work on giving yourselves experiences of the first, second, and third chakra that program you for new, pleasurable memories, things that take place. Now, folks, I am not talking about things that you think about. That's a different set of energy. I'm talking about things that you experience directly. The first, second, and third chakra is about direct experience. That means go to the arboretum and walk in the flowers. Get in the water. Get on the floor and roll with the dog. Go outside and swing that thing they're swinging around. Walk across the grass. You know, the next time you drink something, really feel it. Feel it with your gullet. Now, do you have some sense of what I'm saying to you? We have time for one or two questions, and then we're going to have to stop. Somebody ask your question.
I don't understand about the heart chakra.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me more about it? I didn't get about the heart chakra.
It would have to do with the way we feel, our feelings of love and friendship, our desire for love and friendship, any flowing of the emotions of softness of feeling that come through our soft emotions towards other people. Some folks will have an abundance of insecurity, fear. Some people will have an abundance of gentleness and joy. Some people with their mothers or their fathers, they feel a certain way, but with other people, that changes in either direction. If you want to breathe in through the top of your head and let that breath stop at the heart chakra and expand, you can breathe in and imagine that a shape like a basketball or a honeydew melon just arises inside of your chest through your breathing. In and then out. One more question? Yes?
So how do you exactly balance the chakras? And are you saying from the breath, coming down from the top?
What I would do is I would ask myself, which chakras do I use continuously? If I am constantly meditating and trying to open my heart and my head centers, I probably need to do something physical with a thought about my lower three chakras. That's the point of today's meditation, of today's talk. You've been all busy from here up. If you want to balance your chakras, do some deliberate action from here down. I bet you will find that you have more money, more pleasure, sleep better, do the things that affect the lower 3 chakras, take practical experience and effort, buy some new underwear. Simple things. Now, folks, we have run out of time. If you're interested in what I'm talking about, I am a professional. I own a Trinity Table. I am founder and CEO along with Dixie Richards, co-founder and chief operating officer of Paragate. We work with events related to healing and teaching, hypnotherapy training, and chakra health. You can contact me through any of my materials which are out in the main room or by speaking to me. Thank you very much.